Hello, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we're going to be talking about extrude, inset, and loop cuts. And we're gonna select one of these objects that we have here, something easy to work with. That we have a lot of stuff here. So I'm just gonna select this one here. I'm going to local, and I'm just going to let's start with inset and move to extrude and loop cuts. All right. So let's say that we have this object here, and I'm going to edit mode. You remember last tutorial we saw that. Any of the options available to go into edit mode or control tab, or just switch over here, right? So I'm gonna go to face. Remember, we talked about this right here. You can just select that, or you can just, yeah, just like that. So I'm gonna select all these faces right here, okay? And I want to create an inset on all of those faces. So if I press I one time, it will literally just create a whole inset or a few sets of loop cuts. In this case, looks like that, right? So if I select individual here, it will literally just create this type of inset in those individual faces, just like that. And you can just mess around with these options here, get familiar with it. But let's say that you want to do that right away from the beginning. You can just press twice I in the keyword, and it will just move to that. Oops. Uh, we already used that option. That's why it's doing that. All right, there we go. So at the beginning, because we already kind of like had this on, now it will have it by default every time you use it. So let's go back to the beginning here real quick. I'm gonna double tap I, and it will literally do that. It will literally activate this option right here if you don't have it set from the start. So that's literally what it is. All right, so now that we have this inset, so this is basically what it is. The inset is literally just creating, it's kind of like selecting all of those edges that form the face, and it will just create another one just inside of it. Just like this. Super simple, super easy. I'll just select those and do the same thing, just like that. It can work with multiple objects, even if you have, for example, this two, this one and this one are big, and this one is small. If you press I, it will literally conform to the size of the face that you have selected. It's not going to affect it just because the other ones are big. So it will just adjust to the size of the object, of the face that you have selected, just like that. All right, so that's literally in simple terms what an inset is, okay? So now let's move to extrude. So I'm going to select those faces that we had in the beginning. There you go, these ones. And I'm going to do the same thing, but in this case, if I press right now, for example, let's say that I want to do in this one here. I'm going to press E in the keyboard, and I will just do something like, I don't know, something like that, something like this. I'm going to extrude to the inside. And I'm going to remind you, you can literally extrude anything. You can just select an edge, it will just extrude that edge just like that, or like this, or if you go to vertices, also you can extrude any vertices like that. If you press Control and tap and right click, it will just extrude those vertices like that, which you just do the same thing. So I'm just, you can extrude anything, absolutely anything that you have selected. All right. So let's say I want to extrude all these selected at the same time to the inside. If I use the same option E, it will literally just extrude everything using the normal, just going in one direction. That looks, yeah, that's not the effect that we want here. So I'm going to press Alt and E, and I'm going to select extrude faces along normals. You can do that, or you can just right click, and this is the option right here, extrude faces along normals, and it will literally allow you to extrude using normals according to the face that you have selected. So in this case, just like that. So if you want to be precise, like when you're doing this kind of thing, you see it moves a little fast. So if you press shift, it will slow down so you're a little more precise in what you're doing. Just like that. All right. Just it's a quick tip right there. So like I said, you can extrude absolutely everything. And I'm gonna, for example, let's go to move to loop cuts right now. How to create loop cuts or subdivisions, okay? So let's say that I have this object right here, and I'm gonna hide everything else, okay? And actually, let me just select these two right here, and I'm gonna hide everything else. Don't mind those extra actions, I'll show you those later. All right, so I want to create a phase and inset in these individual phases, but they're together right now. So what one thing that we can do here is we can just create a subdivision, remember, with Control R, and you can place the subdivision anywhere you want it. But in this case, it's going to place it exactly in the center of this object right here that we have selected. In this case, it'll be kind of like here. We're going to left click, and we're just going to move it to the place that we want it, something like that. We don't have to be precise in this case, okay? And I'm going to Control R and just going to move it right over there. So now we have this object kind of separated, right? And now we can just press, you're going to press, oops. Let me just go to 3 for face. Select those two faces right there. And I'm going to press I in the keyword. And I'm going to inset, something like that. So now they're individual. And I'm going to extrude right now. Something like this. In this case, it's okay to use a regular extrude because they're going in the same direction. So, but let's say that you want to kind of extrude like this one. Let's do the same thing over here real quick. Something like this. Let's say that you want to extrude these two in the opposite direction. If you press E, it will do the thing that we saw previously, right? But if you do extrude along normals, you can do something like this. You see that? So both now are doing that. So if you select this one and this one right here and press Shift R, it will apply kind of like the same effect because it's repeat the last action, and or something like that. You know, kind of like that. It will repeat the same thing, and since it's following the normals of this one, it's literally going to do the same thing that it did on this one right here. So there you have it. So divisions is literally just adding a loop cut or a, you know, something like this to support edges or create, you know, more resolution, not resolution, but just like cuts in an object. Like you can add as many as you want, as many as you need. In this case, just like this. You see that with the scroll? And in the last video, I showed you a little bit that you can create as many cuts as you want in this little menu right here. But once you accept the ones you want, that is it. There's no coming back, okay? But you can always just select them and Control X. It would just dissolve those extras right there. So this is no big deal. All right, something like that. All right. I think we saw everything we needed kind of to touch base on this tutorial. Like loop cuts are very, you're going to see that as we progress, it's going to be very super useful for you to kind of like get used to using these options. So let's say that, for example, if I select those edges right there and I go to like right click and hit subdivide, it will literally create a loop cut right down the middle. The same way that you will do is without even selecting any vertices, any edges, you would just Control R and it will do the same thing. All right, so I'm just gonna hide that, and now we have this thing. And yeah, let's recap what we just did here. We saw how to inset a phase in an object. We just select a phase or a polygon, and we're just going to hit I, and it will just create the inset. And Shift R will repeat the last action. And we saw also how to extrude those individually or along the normals, like Alt E, it will do this, or right click, it will do the same thing. And then we saw also how to create subdivisions with Control R. and we just place it anywhere you want, something like that, and it will create another Control R, something like this, just to create more, more subdivisions in the object. And right now I'm not even using a snap because just to be very simple. But all right, that's it. That's all we needed to see in this tutorial: inset, extrude, and add loop cuts or subdivisions in your objects. So hope you like it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.